Instead of focusing on winning arguments, we're teaching the basic fundamentals of sales and marketing and how we can use them to win in the world of politics, teaching you how to meet people where they're at on the issues they care about. Welcome to the Brian Nichols Show. Hey folks, Brian Nichols here with a special summer break episode of the Brian Nichols Show. While I'm taking some time off to recharge, I wanted to share an important article I've written on the state of the libertarian movement in 2024 over at AMP America. In this article, I dive into some controversial topics that have been weighing heavily on my mind, from the nomination of Chase Oliver as the Libertarian Party candidate to the broader cultural shifts we're seeing in society. Today, we'll explore the challenges libertarians face in communicating our ideas effectively, especially on sensitive issues like gender-affirming care for children. I know some of these topics might ruffle some feathers, but I believe it's crucial we have these difficult conversations. So grab a cold drink, find a comfy spot, and join me as I read through my thoughts on where libertarianism stands today and where we might be headed. This episode is a bit different from our usual format, but I hope it gives you something to ponder during our summer lull. And don't worry, we're going to be right back to our regular programming soon. Actually, we have 2 episodes already pre-recorded to air next week with some phenomenal guests. Plus, we're going to do a few more of these special episodes in the next week. And now, on to the show. There's nothing progressive about ignoring reality. Hey folks, I want to take a moment to talk about something that has truly changed my life, and that is Cardio Miracle, our incredible studio sponsor. Now, I'll be honest, when I first heard about Cardio Miracle and their claims about improving heart health, I was skeptical. But after using it for just about 2 months, I was absolutely blown away by the results. First, my blood pressure went from being consistently around 140/90 to a much more healthier and manageable 120/80. And my resting heart rate dropped from the low 70s to the high 50s. And I couldn't believe it. But the benefits didn't stop there. I started sleeping better, and I felt more energized at the gym, and my heart felt the best it's felt in years. And it's not just me. Hundreds of you, our amazing listeners, have reached out to share your own incredible experiences with Cardio Miracle. So, what is Cardio Miracle, and how does it work? It's a carefully crafted supplement that harnesses the power of nitric oxide to support optimal heart function. So, by increasing nitric oxide levels in your blood, Cardio Miracle helps relax your blood vessels, improve circulation, and it protects your heart from damage. It's like giving your heart the support it needs to function at its best. And here's the best part. We've got an exclusive offer just for you, our loyal listeners here at the Brian Nichols Show. When you head over to cardiomiracle.com and use code TBNS at checkout, you'll get an extra 15% discount on your order. Plus, with their 100% money-back guarantee, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So, if you're ready to take control of your heart health and experience the life-changing benefits of Cardio Miracle for yourself, just click the link in the show notes or video description. Trust me, your heart will thank you. And don't wait another day to prioritize your health. Join the tens of thousands of folks who have already discovered the Cardio Miracle difference. Head to cardiomiracle.com now and use code TBNS for 15% off your order. Your journey to a happier and healthier heart starts today. And now, let's get back to the show. Let me tell you a story that really got under my skin recently. I was scrolling through Twitter the other day and came across this post in the r/trans subreddit. It was from a parent talking about their 3-year-old biological boy who suddenly started saying he felt more like a girl. This kid, barely out of diapers, was asking to be called by a new name and use different pronouns. And get this, the parents were going along with it, or dare I say, encouraging it. Now, as a dad myself with a 14-month-old at home, this just made my blood boil. I mean, come on, we're talking about a toddler here. At that age, kids are still figuring out how to use a spoon properly, let alone making life-altering decisions about their gender identity. It's like if my daughter suddenly declared she was a fire truck. Should I start calling her engine and spraying her with a fire hose? The whole situation got me thinking about where we are as a society. How did we get to the point where we're taking the whims of a 3-year-old so seriously on such complex issues? It's not just about this one family either. This is happening all over the place, and it seems like anyone who questions it gets labeled a bigot or a transphobe. But here's the thing. I'm not afraid of trans people. What I am afraid of is what's going to happen to our society if we keep ignoring reality and common sense. And you know what? This isn't just some isolated incident. It's part of a much bigger problem that's been gnawing at me for a while now, especially when I look at what's going on in the Libertarian Party. I mean, have you seen the backlash over Chase Oliver's nomination? It's like we've completely lost the plot. We're supposed to be about individual liberty and personal responsibility, but instead, we're getting caught up in this cultural leftism that just, well, it's just not libertarianism. Let me break it down for you. Chase, bless his heart, he's out there talking about gender-affirming care for kids like it's just another healthcare decision. But come on, folks. We're not talking about getting an annual flu shot here. We're talking about potentially life-altering treatments for kids who can't even decide what they want for breakfast without changing their minds 5 times. How is that protecting individual liberty? And how is that promoting personal responsibility? And don't even get me started about the whole COVID-19 response. Remember when Chase was all about masks and social distancing, even when you're outside alone? That's not libertarianism. That's just buying into the fear-mongering hook, line, and sinker. We're supposed to be the ones questioning authority, not blindly following it. Now, I know some of you are out there probably thinking, Brian, you're letting your morals get in the way of your principles. But here's the thing. Our principles are based on our morals. We can't just separate the two and pretend that they don't influence each other. This whole live and let live mentality, it sounds great in theory, but in practice, it's gotten us into this mess. Think about it. We've gotten to a point where we can't even express an opinion about someone else's lifestyle without being called every name in the book. But what if that lifestyle is impacting society as a whole? What if it's changing the very fabric of our culture? Do we not have a right? No, a responsibility to speak up? I mean, I want to be able to take my daughter to a public event without worrying about seeing some grown man waving his junk around in the name of social progress. Call me old-fashioned, but I don't think that's progress. I think it's a step backwards. And I think we need to be able to say that without being shouted down. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we should use government force to stop people from living their lives. That's not what libertarianism is about. But we have to be able to have honest conversations about this stuff. We've got to be able to look at the facts and say, hey, maybe this isn't such a great idea. Take the whole trans issue, for example. Did you know that the number of kids identifying something other than their biological sex has exploded over the past 5 years? Now, I'm not a scientist, but that just doesn't seem natural to me. That seems like there's something else going on. Maybe social media, maybe the healthcare industry, maybe both. But we can't even talk about it without being called bigots. And here's the kicker. A lot of libertarians are just going along with it. They're so afraid of being seen as intolerant that they're willing to ignore reality. They're willing to pretend that a 3-year-old can make life-altering decisions about their gender. They're willing to ignore the potential harm we're doing to these kids in the name of being progressive. But let me tell you something. There is nothing progressive about ignoring reality. There's nothing libertarian about refusing to protect the most vulnerable members of our society. And there's certainly nothing principled about letting fear of social backlash keep us from speaking the truth. So where do we go from here? How do we get back to a place where we can have honest conversations about these issues? And how do we protect individual liberty while also acknowledging the reality of the world we live in? I think it starts with us. It starts with libertarians being willing to stand up and say, hey, this isn't right. It starts with us being willing to have those tough conversations, even if it means facing backlash. It starts with us remembering that our principles are based on protecting individual rights, and that includes protecting kids from making decisions that they are not equipped to make. We need to be willing to engage with people who disagree with us, but we also need to be smart about it. We need to make sure we're having good faith conversations, not just getting into shouting matches on social media. And we need to be willing to call out bad faith actors when we see them. But most importantly, we need to remember who we're fighting for. We're not just fighting for some abstract idea of liberty, but rather we're fighting for a future where our kids can grow up in a society that values individual freedom, personal responsibility, and yes, common sense. So let's get back to basics. Let's remember what libertarianism is really about. It's not about blindly accepting every new social trend that comes along. It's about protecting individual rights, promoting personal responsibility, and standing up for what's right, even when it's not popular. And are we going to face backlash? Probably. Are we going to be called names? Almost certainly. But you know what? That's okay. Because at the end of the day, I'd rather be called a bigot for speaking the truth than stay silent and watch our society crumble. So what do you say, folks? Are you ready to have some real conversations? Are you ready to stand up for what's right, even when it's not easy? Because I'll tell you what, I am, and I hope you'll join me. Because if we don't start speaking up now, I'm afraid of what kind of world we're going to be leaving for our kids. Let's bring back some common sense to libertarianism. Let's bring back some reality to our conversations. And let's start building a future that we can all be proud of. All right, folks, that's going to wrap up our special summertime break episode this week where I shared my thoughts on the state of the libertarian movement in 2024. And if you found value in this discussion, please go ahead and give it a share. And when you do, tag yours truly at @BNicholsLiberty on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. You can find The Brian Nichols Show wherever you enjoy your podcasts or video content. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube Music, hit that subscribe button. And for the video version on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, or Facebook, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. Head down to the comments and let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with my take on the challenges facing libertarians, or do you think I'm off base? Either way, I want to hear from you all of your perspectives, whether you're on the progressive left, libertarian right, or somewhere in between. As always, please support our amazing sponsors like Cardio Miracle, Ebles CBD, Liquid Freedom Energy Tea, and of course, Amp America. They are the ones who make this show possible. That's all we have for today, folks. This is Brian Nichols signing off. We'll see you next time here on The Brian Nichols Show.
Thanks for listening to The Brian Nichols Show. Find more episodes at briannicholsshow.com.